What happens when a woman's pursuit of the truth exposes the darkest secret of a man she barely knows? And what if that truth costs her everything? In a world where secrets are currency, revealing them can be the deadliest game. Jane Warfield, a tire shop owner from Indianapolis, was known for her boldness, her outspokenness, her need to be seen. But on that fateful day, her need to expose a secret would lead her down a path from which there was no return.
Right up by the front door, though, thank God, because they chased me out of there. They was trying to kill me. Y'all, they tried to kill me, so anything happened to me, y'all know they tried to kill me today. Them niggas. And then when I got in the car, I started talking shit. If anybody knows me, that's how I get down.
Hours after her Facebook Live video shook the world, Jane was found lifeless in her car, shot twice in the head, and crashed into another car at 90 miles per hour.
And the two people injured were both taken to the hospital. IMPD says that unidentified male was taken to the hospital in serious condition. The woman was also transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound, but did die at the hospital. We talked to a man who witnessed the crash this morning. He says the driver of the
Camaro came shooting all the way down the street at least 90 miles per hour and hit the car and spent it 3 times, and that's when it hit the Altima.
Was it revenge? A desperate act to silence her? Was it the truth that killed her? Or something far darker? This is the story of Jane Warfield, a woman who dared to expose the truth and paid the ultimate price. Stay with us as we dive into a heart-wrenching tale that sent shockwaves through the entire community, leaving everyone searching for answers to an unspeakable tragedy. Welcome to the Inside the Crime Mind. If you're watching right now, drop a comment with the location you're watching from and give this video a thumbs up. More jaw-dropping true stories are on the way. But before we get to that tragic ending, we need to talk about what led up to it. Who was Jane Warfield? To the world, she was known as Jane the Mayor, a bold, outspoken personality on social media. But behind that fierce exterior, there was a woman facing battles no one could see. A woman with dreams, but also deep fears, driven by both ambition and desperation. Jane Warfield was not your average woman. She was a businesswoman who ran a tire shop in the heart of Indianapolis. She owned that shop with pride, pouring her heart into every tire she sold. But her life was far from simple. Beneath the surface of her business success was a woman struggling to stay afloat in a world that often felt out of control. She was born into a tight-knit community, a place where everyone knew each other's name, where bonds ran deep. But even in that environment, Jane never quite fit in. She struggled with more than just running a business. She battled a tumultuous past, a history filled with mental health struggles that no one could fully understand. Jane's mental health was a quiet storm, often unseen but always present. Depression, anxiety, and a sense of isolation plagued her, pushing her to seek control in every aspect of her life. But no matter how hard she tried to keep things together, the cracks began to show. Financial struggles intensified, and her personal life spiraled. In the digital world, Jane found an outlet, a place where her voice could be heard, where she could finally assert control. As Jane the Mayor, she built a following, crafting an online persona that was larger than life. To her followers, she was confident, strong, unafraid to speak out on anything and everything. But this digital platform, which seemed to give Jane the control she craved, also started to consume her. The boundaries between reality and online persona blurred. The more she exposed about herself, the more she felt the weight of needing to expose the world around her. Secrets, lies, betrayal. She wasn't just playing the game of life. She was determined to change the rules. Desperation set in. The financial pressure, the constant struggle to keep her business afloat, and the feeling of losing control pushed Jane to make decisions she might never have considered before. The desire to be seen, to be heard, grew to an unbearable intensity. And with it came the dangerous desire to expose the secrets of others, the very secrets she felt she could never expose about herself. And that's when Jane crossed the line, when her need for control and power over her life led her to expose the darkest secret of someone else. A secret she had stumbled upon, a secret that would unravel everything she thought she knew about herself and ultimately about the world. It's said that every secret has its price, and for Jane Warfield, the cost of exposing the truth would be higher than she could have ever imagined. What happens when a person, desperate and cornered, decides to pull back the veil on someone else's darkest secret? What happens when that decision leads not to freedom, but to destruction? It all began when Jane discovered something she wasn't supposed to know. A secret, a mistake, a life hidden behind a mask of lies. Jamiel, the man she had recently come into contact with, had a secret that could ruin him. A secret about his personal life, one that was so damaging it could tear apart his world in an instant. Jamiel had no idea what Jane had uncovered. He had been living his life with the confidence that his secrets were safe, that they would never surface. But Jane, in her growing desperation, saw an opportunity to gain control, to gain money, to finally break free from the crushing weight of her own life. Jane, desperate for money and control, decided that the truth could be her salvation. She reached out to Jamiel, her message clear: $5,000, or she would expose his secret to the world. She wasn't just asking for money. She was demanding it, a price to keep his life intact, to keep his reputation from being destroyed. But Jamiel didn't take kindly to threats. For him, the stakes were too high. The secret she had uncovered wasn't just damaging, it was life-altering. His first instinct was to pay, to silence Jane, to ensure that nothing would ruin him. But for Jane, the moment she saw her power, something inside her shifted. She wanted more control, more recognition. She wasn't just going to take the money, she was going to make sure the world knew the truth. Then came the turning point. Jane, feeling the rush of power surge through her, made a fateful choice. She went live. Facebook Live. Her face, her voice, the secret, everything now belonged to the world. The very thing she had threatened Jamiel with was now her own weapon. With the tap of a button, the world would see what she knew. And in that instant, the game would shift forever. What Jane didn't realize was that by exposing Jamiel's secret, she wasn't just taking control of her life. She was escalating the situation into something far more dangerous. Public shaming had never been so brutal. Her need for attention, for validation, had become her undoing. And for Jamiel, the consequences of being exposed were unbearable. The truth may set you free, but in Jane Warfield's case, it set her on a path to destruction. In any crime, there's a question that always lingers. Who is truly guilty? Who pulls the strings? And who is merely a pawn in a larger game? In the case of Jane Warfield, that question has no simple answer.
Birds! I see the whole gay bird in front of my whole 2 eyes. Two eyes! I had to come here and tell them about it. Listen. Happened earlier today. Hold on. This nigga, y'all, that... Hold on, let me wait for some more people to get on here. Because y'all got to hear this story, because this is a good story. You know, we hear a lot of shit, but we don't never really get to see that shit. Because these niggas, they hiding. Listen, y'all, they're hiding behind the covers in the sheets around this bitch. The covers in the sheets. You feel me? The covers in the sheets. Hiding. They're hiding. So, I have been, discussing some shit with this nigga. We were doing some business, me and this dude. Now, I'm going to tell you, he did give me some head way back a long time ago. Long time ago, a couple of years ago, like before I started fucking with Fred or something, he wasn't even there. It was after, it was about 2 years. was it 2 years ago? About 2 years ago. I think when I first was on Orchard, he gave me some head. That's when it was, you know. Okay, so when I was on Orchard, nigga gave me some head, right? Never really talked to him like that. You know, I had the old man. I had a lot of other shit going on, so I never talked to the nigga like that. Listen. No, listen. So, I was doing some business with this nigga, right? Hold on. I had to run in there and still take my phone and run out. They chased me out the house. Hold on. Pants hanging and everything. Hold on. Screaming, Hallville. I said, fuck Hallville. I don't give a fuck. You niggas better give me some money. I'm fucking telling everybody. You niggas got some money? We Hallville. Ain't nobody. Fuck Hallville. Hallville gonna have to pay. Because if not, it's a story to be told. Oh, y'all don't want to pay? Bitch, I'll let you give me some head and you out here fucking niggas in their ass? Oh, no. Oh, no. This shit's not going to fly. No, it's not. And I feel disgusted. I've been sick all day. Thinking about how I let you suck on my motherfucking pussy. And you're over there hitting the fudge out the back of niggas. I can't stomach it. But they say you 4 East Side niggas been doing that shit. I ain't never seen that shit. Listen, I never seen that shit with my own 2 eyes. But today, I've been scorned for life. But today, I'm trying to move forward. Today I've been traumatized. You niggas out here traumatizing bitches. Hold down on this nigga. Hold on. I grabbed what I came to get or whatever. He's like, come on over here to my uncle's house or whatever. Boom. Familiar with your uncle's house. Had been over there before once or twice or something like that. You know what I mean? So I had grabbed whatever, but I'm in a rush because I got to get back to the shop or whatever, you know, or whatnot. So, boom. I'm riding down the street. I done got the nigga being Speedway, right? I'm damn near to the tire shops on 16th Street. I'm like, fuck. I don't have my phone. So I start calling my phone, and I start calling his phone, and when nobody answering on my shop phone, I got a little flip. That's my shop phone, right? So, girl, yeah. So I'm on my little shop flip phone, and I'm like, boom, calling my cell phone, calling his phone. Ain't want nobody answer. So I'm like, damn. So now I done got back over there. I done parked right up by the front door, though, thank God, because they chased me out of there. They was trying to kill me. Y'all, they tried to kill me. So anything happened to me, y'all know they tried to kill me today. Them niggas. And then when I got in the car, I started talking shit. If anybody knows me, that's how I get down. As soon as I get to the car, when I get close to my pistol, I'm really talking shit now. So wait a minute. So look, I'm in here. Hold on. I'm banging on the door. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. So I'm knocking on this motherfucking door. I'm like, I need my fucking phone. That's my money bag. I'm like, hitting this motherfucking door. And I'm like, won't nobody come to the fucking door, right? And I'm like, damn. Something told me to check the door. That motherfucker was unlocked. When I stepped in there, y'all. Oh my God. My stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. When I walked in there, y'all, what I seen with my own 2 eyes. Hold on. Thank God my phone was sitting on the table right there by the door. I swung that door, but I said, oh! And I couldn't even talk the words. I couldn't get the words out of my mouth, right? So I'm like, I gave this nigga ample opportunity. I even gave him an extra hour to come up with the money. I was like, listen, just run me the bag and I'll just try to forget. But at the same time, nigga, you could have let me know you was getting down like it. He said, bitch, I ain't got to tell you shit, bitch. I don't owe you no explanations, bitch. He talking like a G, though. This nigga talking like he on gin, though. This nigga is talking like he's on gin, though, okay? I'm telling you, he's talking like a G. I said, boy, they told me they was doing it out east, but I didn't know y'all was doing it out west like this. I believed out east. I done heard about out east. I heard about you niggas out east getting nasty than a bitch about a bag. Y'all niggas, east them niggas getting 20, 30 off white men, I heard. I don't know. But what I am going to say is, Jamal, you got the right bitch today. Because I take it personal because you gave me, you administrated head on me before. So now I got to go, well, I stay in the hospital. So, you know what I mean? I probably would have known if something would have happened to me behind this shit. But at the same time, you're not safe. you're not safe. You know, it's been a long time really since I touched you like that or whatever, but
After her Facebook Live video went viral, Jane's life took a tragic turn. Later that morning, at 9:30 a.m., Jane was found shot twice in the head in her vehicle after she tried to escape the scene. According to reports, she crashed her car into another vehicle before succumbing to her injuries at the hospital. The shooting took place in the 30th Street and Lafayette Road area of Indianapolis.
Kept the intersection closed and buzzing with police officers for at least 6 hours. Police tell us 4 cars in total were involved, and the 2 people injured were both taken to the hospital. IMPD says that unidentified male was taken to the hospital in serious condition. The woman was also transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound, but did die at the hospital. We talked to a man who witnessed the crash this morning. He says the driver of the terribly damaged blue car somehow walked away after being slammed into from behind while he was sitting at that light.
And all of a sudden, the Camaro came shooting all the way down the street, at least 90 miles per hour, and hit the car and spent it 3 times, and that's when it hit the Altima.
Jamiel, the man Jane sought to expose, is at the heart of this mystery, caught in a web of secrets and lies that leads to her tragic end. But was he the one who orchestrated her death? Or was there someone else lurking in the shadows? Jamiel was not the kind of man who would have stood out in a crowd. At first, he seemed like an easy target for Jane's demands, a man with a secret, vulnerable to blackmail. But as the investigation unfolded, so too did his hidden past. Beneath the surface, Jamiel was far more than he appeared. Jamiel had ties to a world far darker than anyone could have guessed. Beneath his respectable exterior, he was deeply entrenched in the criminal world. Drugs, gambling, and debts that went beyond his control. It was in this world that he had built his life. But it was also the world that would come crashing down around him when Jane exposed his secret. In this tangled web of lies, secrets, and broken lives, the truth seems harder to find than ever before. As the investigation deepens, one thing becomes clear. Nothing is as it seems, and the line between victim and perpetrator is not as sharp as we'd like to believe. In the aftermath of Jane Warfield's murder, the question on everyone's lips was the same. Who killed her and why? The streets of Indianapolis were filled with whispers, the air heavy with suspicion and uncertainty. But behind the scenes, the investigation into her death was about to reveal just how murky the waters of truth had become. At first, Jamiel wasn't immediately arrested. Despite his connection to Jane, there was no clear evidence linking him to her murder. Yes, the Facebook Live video he was so desperately trying to silence was damning, but a video, no matter how public, wasn't enough to charge someone with murder. The investigation faced a major roadblock. No witnesses, no forensic evidence, and a mounting public frenzy that made the case even harder to crack. With Jamiel's name being dragged through the mud, the public's opinion was split. Some saw him as a man wronged, a victim of Jane's threats, forced to take extreme measures to protect himself. Others saw him as a cold-hearted killer who had silenced a woman whose only crime was exposing the truth. As the investigation dragged on, law enforcement faced mounting challenges. The lack of solid evidence, the hesitation of key witnesses, and the overwhelming influence of public opinion turned the investigation into a waiting game. Law enforcement was running out of leads, and the case was slipping through their fingers. The truth, it seemed, was buried deeper than anyone had realized. In every true crime story, there's a moment when everything shifts. A moment when the seemingly clear path of justice is derailed, and the truth, once believed to be so certain, starts to splinter into 1,000 pieces. For Jane Warfield, that moment came when new evidence surfaced, evidence that changed everything. At first, it seemed like the truth about Jane's accusations would be her final word. Her video, her threats, her expose of Jamiel's secret life. But as the investigation dug deeper, the story started to unravel. What once appeared to be irrefutable evidence against Jamiel, Jane's accusations, her public declaration of his guilt, wasn't as clear-cut as everyone had believed. It wasn't just Jamiel's secret that Jane had uncovered. It was the weight of her own mounting debts, the mental strain, and the unbearable stress of trying to keep her life together. It was revealed that Jane's accusation against Jamiel about a scandalous affair was not the truth at all. It was a lie, a fabrication born from her own unraveling mental state. What Jane had exposed to the world, what she had so passionately shared in her live video, wasn't the truth. It wasn't the secret she claimed to have discovered about Jamiel. Instead, it was a desperate cry for attention, a way for her to regain control of a life that had spiraled out of her hands. The man she accused, Jamiel, was not the villain she made him out to be. He was simply another pawn in her chaotic world. But Jamiel, too, was not entirely innocent. While he may not have been directly responsible for Jane's murder, his involvement in the criminal underworld, his own secrets, and his failure to take action when Jane first confronted him, all of it painted a different picture. Jamiel may have been a victim of Jane's accusations, but he was not blameless in the web of deceit that followed. Months turned into years, and the case remained unsolved. Despite the public outcry, despite the many leads and false promises, the investigation stalled. Jane's family was left without closure, trapped in the painful limbo of unanswered questions. What really happened that day? Who was responsible for her death? For Jane's children, the pain went beyond the loss of their mother. It was the uncertainty, the confusion of a world that had been turned upside down by a crime they couldn't fully comprehend. In the absence of closure, the emotional toll grew heavier with each passing day. Was their mother a victim? Or had she brought this upon herself? The answers were elusive, and with each day that passed without justice, the wounds seemed to deepen. 2.5 years after Jane's murder, Jamiel's life was abruptly taken, shot dead in a street corner execution. The question lingered: was this an act of revenge, street justice, or simply a tragic coincidence? Jamiel, once a man caught in the web of a murder investigation, now found himself the victim of the streets he had once navigated with ease. Was this the karmic consequence of his own dark past, or the result of the unresolved bitterness between him and those left behind by Jane? Jamiel's death did not bring the justice Jane's family had hoped for. Instead, it added another layer of tragedy to an already tangled web. Was it karma for his role in Jane's death, or was he simply caught in the ruthless, unforgiving world he had long been a part of? Either way, the closure Jane's family sought was not found in Jamiel's death. For them, there were still far too many unanswered questions. The emotional toll on Jane's family was profound. The unanswered questions, the ambiguity of the case, and the harsh reality that they would never truly understand what had happened. That was the real tragedy. Jane's mother, her children, her friends, all of them were left to carry a burden far heavier than grief. It was the weight of doubt of a justice system that had failed to provide closure, and of a life that had been stolen in the most incomprehensible way. Justice, in its purest form, was never served for Jane Warfield. But her story, her life, her legacy, those would live on, whispered in the streets and in the hearts of those who knew her. And perhaps that was the only justice left. Jane Warfield's story serves as a cautionary tale, a harsh reminder of the dangers that lie in the intersection of social media, mental health, and desperation. In a world where the click of a button can expose the deepest secrets, Jane's final act of exposing Jamiel's secret was both a cry for justice and an invitation for destruction. Her use of Facebook Live, in her attempt to control her narrative, spiraled into a nightmare, illustrating how quickly digital platforms can escalate personal conflicts into real-world violence. Karma, revenge, justice. The threads of these themes weave through this story like a complex tapestry, each element influencing the other. Jamil's death, shot in the streets 2 years after Jane's murder, may have felt like a form of retribution. Was it karma for the life he led, for the destruction Jane's death had caused him? Or was it just another tragic moment in a cycle of violence that no one could escape? In the end, Jamil's death didn't bring closure. It only deepened the mystery, leaving more questions than answers. Was it justice? Was it revenge? Or was it simply the inevitable consequence of a world where actions, both small and large, are met with swift, unforgiving retaliation? What do you think really happened to Jane Warfield? Was she a victim of her circumstances, a woman driven to the edge by financial and mental strain? Or did her own actions, fueled by desperation, lead to her tragic end? Was she the architect of her own destruction, or was she just a pawn in a much darker game? Share your thoughts and theories with us in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective. And if you have another true crime case you'd like us to explore, let us know. Don't forget to subscribe and join us for more deep dives into the darkest corners of real-life crime stories. Because in the world of true crime, the story is never over. And the truth is often more complex than we can ever imagine.